So I just finished playing a game called Putrefaction 2 Voidwalker. It's a first-person shooter on Steam by a single human named Oleg Kazakov. Now, if you look at the image on the Steam store section, you've got a guy wearing Oakley shades and a headset with a microphone surrounded by swirling green energy. It looks like the kind of thing that you would see in a bad, like, mobile shooter advertisement that is trying somehow to be like Far Cry and Deus Ex all at the same time. But this is one of the tightest, most fun and interesting retro-style first-person shooters I have ever played. Just imagine if you were playing Doom Eternal, but controlling a little bit more like Turok Dinosaur Hunter, and it had elements of Wolfenstein, Far Cry, and Half-Life mixed in there. It is a slaughterhouse of ideas that has been shoved through the meat grinder to turn into some rare, weird export of a hamburger patty. And while it doesn't, like, cook up as well as I was hoping at the end, like, imagine if it had been given a little bit more time on the grill. If Mr. Oleg Kazakov had been given time and money and a studio to make this game with, like, maybe not AAA, but AA sort of quality. Oleg Kazakov, wow, just... So this man has other games out on Steam. One is a VHS-style horror game called The Tape. There's a MMO that he's working on called Geodonia. And there is, obviously, the first Putrefaction game, which itself is a really well-meaning Dead Space Doom 3 clone. Well-meaning is probably the best compliment I can give it, but it's interesting. It had some atmosphere near the end of the game, and it did some stuff that I thought was really cool, but was just kind of, slapdash and held together with spit tape and baling wire. Whereas Putrefaction 2 Voidwalker just absolutely improves on everything that was wrong with the first game. It's fast, it's furious, you play the role of the Voidwalker, who was the soldier from the first game, who in the first game was just in charge of clearing out a nest of weird, fleshy, necromorphy type of pustule beings that were overtaking some sort of military base. It was all very slapdash as far as the story was concerned. But by the time we get here now to the second game, they've been given an official title, The Putrid. And so at the end of the first game, the Voidwalker, who was just a nameless soldier, stepped into a teleport, some sort of void that shot him into another plane of dimension, where into his head came a spirit called the Hermit, and it gave him unbelievable powers and told him that he would be used as a tool for justice, that he would be known as the Voidwalker. Now, in this game, unlike the first one, Voidwalker has a voice, and he has all kinds of Duke Nukem-y, Serious Sam sort of quips and one-liners.
Does your ass get jealous of the amounts of shit that's coming out of your mouth?
And it's, it's super tongue-in-cheek, and it's absolutely designed to just remind you of Duke Nukem, but it's also from someone who does not speak English very well. So they're terribly translated versions of quotes that you already know. I think my favorite one is, "I came here to kick ass and chew bubblegum, but no bubblegum." And it's just little things like that that just add to the charm. Like, the game knows what it's doing, it knows what it's copying, but it does it with such charm and panache and a wink and a smile that it doesn't matter how, like, somewhat shoddy the game is put together. It's fun. The controls are the best part. The controls are super tight. You get a double jump off the bat. You have a very satisfying shotgun. You have a very satisfying revolver. All of the weapons are pretty much super satisfying. I think, if anything, The dynamite, the bundled sticks of TNT were probably my least favorite out of the weapons because I couldn't really get a good gauge on throwing them. But otherwise, it's a really solid array of weaponry that you get. And when you open up the game, you're just kind of told that you have to jump through dimensions in order to chase down the putrid. So you start off in a dimension where you're on some weird alien planet taking down indigenous people of this planet who are throwing magic and weird alien dogs and monkey-type Hell Knight-ish creatures at you. And then after that, you dive into Earth's past where you fight Nazis. But not just Nazis. You fight mutated Nazis. Mutated Nazis with jetpacks and sledgehammers and razor claws. And you fight Adolf Hitler.
I believe you know. His name is Adolf Hitler. Is he alive? Why did you kill him again?
You get to kill Adolf Hitler in this game. It is amazing. And then after that, you kind of go to a sort of like Half-Life sort of Zen ending world where the putrid's homeworld, where you fight off all manner of strange alien creatures, and there are jump pads that add so much verticality to the game, and you're hopping and jumping, and with your double jump, there's so much control in the air, and they're a lot tougher at this point. Now, the game has a lot of secrets. There are, something like 30 some odd secrets. The game keeps track of how many secrets there are and gives you a Steam achievement for each secret. There are 137 Steam achievements in this game. It is amazing. But then you get down to the final boss. And the final boss is a giant summation of all the putrid energy, and you have to fight it off. And this was where I finally ran into the point of no return. I put 6.3 hours into this game, according to Steam, and I'm pretty sure the last 2 to 2.5 hours were just trying to beat this boss. That's an exaggeration. It was probably an hour. It was probably a full hour of this game on the final boss, because the final boss is just... So I have noticed a thing with Oleg Kazakov, and my man Oleg, when it comes to his boss fights, what he likes to do is he likes to set you up with a boss that is really difficult, and you have to spend a lot of time shooting at, but there are stages, and when a stage changes, the rules change, and you can take damage from an entirely new angle, and it turns on a dime. So next thing you know, you are taking so much damage, and you are dead before you even understand what this new stage of the boss entails. And that's what the final boss is like, except with the boss's final stage, he absorbs so much damage that I was questioning whether or not I was actually doing damage to him. Now, I did run into a bug at one point earlier in the game where I was fighting Nazis and I was hitting them with everything I had, but they weren't taking damage, so I had to reload my checkpoint, and it fixed it. I fought this goddamn boss so many times, and it includes so many cheap phases, and I buckled. I went and I looked up YouTube footage of other people playing the boss of Voidwalker, and it turns out you just have to hit him with everything, and you just have to keep moving and dodging, and you just have to keep hitting him even when the bar looks like it's not actually being chipped away. And I gotta tell you, beating that boss was almost a bigger sigh of relief than beating the Icon of Sin at the end of Doom Eternal. It's like the sheer volumetric sigh of relief that escaped my body was all encompassing. Like, I sat back, I was shaking, I wanted a cigarette, and I haven't smoked in over a year. It's the Putrefaction 2 Voidwalker is $5 on Steam. And honestly, you know what? The first one is also 99 cents. $6, 2 games. That's a good lengthy afternoon. The first game is maybe 2 hours. You know, this is a tight, grand, retro-style first-person shooter. Is it janky? Absolutely. Is it super quality? Absolutely not. But with the amount of care that got put into the controls, the amount of fun that I had. Like, I was engaged thoroughly. I don't remember if I started playing this today or yesterday, but I blazed through this pretty fucking quickly because I was in it. It sucks you in and you want to keep playing the game. And I did, and I had a lot of fun with it. Despite my frustration with the final boss, I'm going to go ahead and give Putrefaction 2 Voidwalker a 7.5. I want to give it an 8, but it's not quite an 8 game. And I kind of want to take points off for that final boss, but I'm not going to. Just because it's an Oleg Kazakov game. And when you play an Oleg Kazakov game, you better understand that you are coming in to get punished by the bosses. Everything else is fodder. Everything else is there to test you, to give you a reason to like push through and think up new tactics. But then when it comes to the boss is where the real meat and cheese between the buns lie. So this, my dear friends, has been the Ranger Report. I'm Ruby Ranger, and you owe it to yourself. $5 on Steam, a grand afternoon of run-and-gun boomer shooter action from the one and only Oleg Kazakov. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.